So, has the Department of Finance's functional efficiency review been completed?
Yes, it has, Senator. It was completed in February this year.
February. Oh, good. And its task was to determine if the department's current resourcing and functions align with the government's forward priorities. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
And that's including, according to the terms of reference, where certain functions should be provided by alternative approaches, including contestability, and to recommend, among other things, I'm quoting, the proposed transition path to implement preferred alternatives, including how performance could be managed, APS staffing, capability considerations and governments. That's part of terms of reference D?
Yes, correct.
Okay. How did it find, Mr Mrdak?
The report's currently before government. It has recommended a range of measures which would look at a mix of functions ceasing to be performed.
Functions ceasing?
Functions ceasing. Functions which could be performed by other agencies or areas of government, and also areas where efficiencies could be made. It's recommended 18 areas of action for the government to consider. That has currently now before government, and I expect will be considered in the next term of government.
Sure. Are you able to point us in what areas they are at this stage?
They predominantly range around areas of, in terms of the department itself, some specific functions which could be considered for no longer continuing, particularly areas such as the way, some examples that some areas that have been identified, such as the performance of some functions, such as the administration of financial assistance to local government and other payment processes which could be considered for centralisation in other areas of government, such as the Department of Finance. Ceasing areas such as the department's performance of activities in maritime regulation and whether that better sits with the Australian Maritime Safety Authority, and also indicates areas where government may wish to consider larger structural changes, such as considering the future of Air Services Australia.
Ah. How?
Sorry?
How?
Whether the government wish to consider future options for different governance and ownership arrangements for some of our statutory bodies, including Air Services Australia.
So that could be outsourcing?
That could be, or it could be looking at taking it into different ownership structures to what they currently are.
And what process, or what could they be, Mr Mrdak? The reason why I'm talking, because we all know Air Services Australia is there is no competition. It's quite a bit of a money earner to the government. So how could you shine a light on how that could be done in a different way for us?
Well, that would be the efficiency and functional efficiency review did look at international examples of where governments have placed their air traffic control provider, air services provider in different governance structures, particularly the United Kingdom and Canada, where they've been placed in either part or full, part private ownership or a not-for-profit government body. They are models that have been looked at, and the scope and the functional efficiency review recommended that we consider further options for the future of Air Services Australia. So
function ceasing is as it suggests, how can we outsource certain parts of the department or work that's conducted by the department or agencies around the department? Was there a flip side where there was a study looking at how you could bring stuff back at all?
That wasn't an area that the functional efficiency review settled on as one of their 18 areas of action.
No worries, thanks Mr Mrdak, and we'll watch that space with some interest. When do we think the government will, well, I know they're going into caretaker mode in the next couple of days, but is there an indication when they could possibly, or they were looking at responding to that?
I think the indications are it will probably be part of the next mid-year financial review or the budget process.
Okay, yep. Okie dokie. Now, who conducted the review?
The review was undertaken by KPMG, and the lead reviewer was Mr Warwick Smith with KPMG.
Okay, and it was only KPMG, no one else?
That's correct. Okay.
Now, is it true that KPMG were paid almost $600,000 for this work, Mr Mrdak?
That's correct, Senator. I can get you the final amount, but it's of that order.
Yep, okay, if you could please, that's fine. Now, does KPMG otherwise provide services to the department? Other services?
Yes, it does. KPMG is on our panel of providers for a range of services, professional services and advice.
Could I ask you who they are or what they are?
They would range across the department, where we do look for advice, either financial or professional advice, in relation to areas such as our infrastructure program, or in any one of our line divisions where we're looking for professional advice. KPMG is one of the firms that we have on the various departmental panels.
Okay, well, look, I have a list here in front of me, and if I can just tick off that I've got the right information, that KPMG has contracts directly with DIRD under the Oz Tender website, and it's diesel supply contract, is that correct?
That's correct, for our Indian Ocean territories.
And is that at $280,000 a year?
I don't have that in front of me.
I reckon
can
Mr
check
Murphy
that.
might know that one.
No, in fact, I'm looking through my list. I've got one for Assurance and Compliance Program for $125,000, but I'm not finding that one.
Has
So we'll
anyone
take
got
that
the
on
Oz Tender website there? I just want to make sure I've got the right info. I don't doubt that I do, but I like to check.
In fact, what I've got in front of me is the consultancy that we've entered into from 1 January this year through to 31 March. So if this was prior to that, I wouldn't have it.
My information's that for the calendar year of 2015.
Okay. Right.
Would it be hard to get that up in front of us, just to confirm or deny, or set me straight? Would that be hard to do?
We can ascertain to
Let's
do
try and
that.
do that now.
Okay, well, look, I'll run through it. So while Miss Potter, is it? Miss Potter, sorry. While Miss Potter's diligently banging away at the computer there, I have in front of me that KPMG have a contract to do with the diesel supply contract to the department at $280,000. I have in front of me local government and territories risk and control mapping contract at $120,000. Assurance and Compliance Project Review 1 at $415,000. Comprehensive Health Services for Norfolk Island at $183,000. Wider Economic Benefits Project at $275,000. And the development and implementation of the Norfolk Island Multi-Purpose Service Contract of $600,000.
We'll check those, Senator.
Okay, and I'll do some quick sums. That's a lot of money. Okay, so we're getting close to about $1.5 million, I believe, I think. Anyway, you'll check that for me. But are we far away from confirming?
Yeah, I'm having
Sorry.
trouble ringing it up.
Well, I think my information would be pretty spot on. So let's go with this. And Mr Murdak, it's not hypothetical. Okay? Would it be fair for me to assume that there's a massive conflict of interest in having an external provider of services to the department review where the department is resourced to deliver government priorities?
No, Senator. The government established the functional efficiency reviews to be independent reviews. They certainly did do a very independent analysis of the department and the portfolio. And I don't believe there's any conflict of interest, as the very fact they are a provider of other services. We selected KPMG off the basis of a tender process. They provided a proposal, which was we accepted and contracted to undertake the efficiency review.
I suppose where I'm coming from, Mr Murdak, when we talk a lot about this since Miss Bishop's indiscretions about the pub test. But if there is a government department that is engaging KPMG at the tune of $600,000. Now, you used the term, part of the review was function ceasing. Yeah. So this same mob KPMG, who have got the $600,000 to look where efficiencies could be found in outsourcing, but they're actually a client of yours who is outsourcing certain parts of the department's work to the tune of $1.5 million. It's a bit like banning the live cattle export. If we ask all the processors, of course they're going to want to ban the live cattle export. I find that very conflicting. Maybe Senator Heffernan, the chair, might think I'm wrong, and this is why I ask. Because there's a number of mobs out there that do the work that KPMG could do, and if I was the one issuing the contracts, foremost in my mind would be this could look a little bit stinky.
Well, I can see the point you're making, Senator, in the sense that we certainly, ultimately, at the end of the day, the department has the opportunity to respond to the report, and government will make the final decisions. But I do understand the point you're making. But as I said, I think it was a thoroughly independent review, and no suggestion that the review's recommendations are anyway tailored to the future work possibilities for KPMG, in my view.
Sure, and it comes back to my early questioning from Senator Ludwig at the last round of estimates, which you have come back and answered. And part of the spend on the purchase of publications was water waste, outsourcing, and how it goes wrong. And I just said the suspicion in me says this is a glowing example of how it can go wrong. Now, for the purposes of timing, I think I've made my point clear, and that is certainly, to me, does not pass the pub test. But Chair, did you want to interrupt me? No. No, you're happy? Okay, so I can continue.